Welcome to another Lync and Learn session. Thank you for joining today. My name is Josh Topal, and I'm one of the Community Program Managers for Office 365. If this is your first time, welcome again. And let me tell you what Lync and Learn is. Lync and Learn started about a year ago, and the idea is to bring the best and brightest of our Office 365 experts and allow them to talk to our community in an open forum just about any topic they want to present. So today we're really lucky to have Jethro Seghers. Jethro, this is actually his second Lync and Learn session. And a little background on him, he's a solutions architect at J Solutions. And he's actually been awarded an Office 365 MVP due to his extensive knowledge and contribution to Office 365 and Microsoft. So we're really lucky again to have him on the call. He's a frequent speaker in many Office 365 and SharePoint user groups within Europe. I think a couple of you on the call even know him. So this Lync and Learn session today will focus on data security and data compliancy in Office 365. We have an hour blocked out for today's session, and we can leave questions towards the end or during the presentation. I don't know, Jethro, whatever is better for you. And I'm also recording today's session, like I mentioned earlier, and that will be back on the original blog post that you saw that you first learned about the session today, and I'll also be able to put it on the Office 365 YouTube channel, so if you want to link and view it later or show all your friends. And one last thing, if you want to ask any questions during the presentation and you're not familiar with Lync, use the text box in the lower left to type your questions, and we'll make our best efforts to answer all of them. And if we can't get to any of them, we can follow up with an email or anything like that. Yeah, and that's it for me. If you want to learn more about myself or Jethro, you can look at us in the community. But Jethro, are you ready to get going here?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. Thanks.
Okay, guys, first of all, thank you for taking the time to sit at your PC for an hour to learn about data security and data compliancy. Don't worry, it will be not a very dull topic because it is a topic which is very hot at this time, especially in Europe, because people want to know what happens with their data, where will the data be, what's the backup solutions, how can we do compliancy, we're in a banking or in assurance, how can Office 365 help us with our compliancy issues. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try to keep the talking about the, let us say, theory part of the session about 20 minutes, and I will try to do about 40 minutes demos and ask or try to respond to questions of you guys. So it's a small group. I would like to have it very interactively. If you have questions, just put them in the instant message box or unmute yourself and ask it directly. I have no problem with interruptions, so please do so. So let's get started. First of all, that's the session of today. My name is indeed Jethro Seghers, and I'm MVP Office 365. I'm also certified for SharePoint and for ETL V3 and MOF. So if you have questions about SharePoint or about, let us say, MOF or IT as a service, don't hesitate. My door is always open. Well, my link door is. So connect to me via link and ask your questions. Okay, I'm a consultant, I'm a blogger, I'm a trainer, I'm an MVP, I'm on Twitter, and guess what? I have also an email address, which you can find in the blue box. I have also a blog, so if you're interested in reading something about SharePoint and Office 365, please do so. If you have comments, don't hesitate to mail me, and we'll get to the bottom if you have questions. Okay, J Solutions LBE, that's my company. It's located in Belgium, where they have the greatest beer and the greatest chocolate, but that's for another time. I provide in business consultancy, especially for SharePoint. That's right. SharePoints in Belgium are great, Matthew. So see you on the next SharePoint Saturday. So SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint Online, cloud services with Office 365 and Windows Intune, and IT as a service, especially in MOF and ETL version 3. The agenda of today. I know most people will be familiar with Office 365, but let us, for those who aren't, give a little overview of what Office 365 is. Terminology, what is compliancy, what is data security. I think a good term of a good definition about those words will explain already a lot. Infrastructure settings. What does Microsoft with their data center provide us with data security and compliancy? Because we don't have a data center anymore, so we want to know which data is stored where, what is the security settings, what are the infrastructure settings. So that's really interesting to know. And then we're going to check out Exchange Online for security and compliancy, and we'll do the same with Lync and SharePoint. I will give you a lot of sources of information where you can actually find all the information that I'm talking about. So Office 365 is very transparent about their information, so there are some sources you just need to know and check them out, read the documents that are on those sources. So that's what you need to read if you want to know all about compliancy and security. Okay, data security. Let us see what is data security. Well, data security is nothing more and nothing less than the protection of data from unauthorized, accidental or intentional modification, destruction or disclosure. So in what actually is standing here is that we want to secure our data versus destruction, modification and unauthorized disclosure. Data compliance. Compliance is either a state of being in accordance with an established guidelines, specification, or legislation, or the process of becoming so. So actually compliance is divided in two parts. You have the guidelines and the specifications, which is based on laws, is based on stuff that is provided with the legislation. And you have the compliancy and function of your own company. So compliance is not always for the people who are making the laws, but also for your own organization. So keep that in mind, because for some of the products that is really, really important. Okay. Office 365 is divided in several products. You have the Office Professional Plus, you have the Exchange Online, you have the SharePoint Online, and you have the Lync Online. And together with an identity provider setting, you have your Office 365. So one of the things that I think Microsoft should change in this picture is actually the identity provider setting in this, because it's not more than those four products, because without the accounts, without the security settings from those accounts, you don't have an Office 365. Even when you have single sign-on, there are some things that you need to provide with Office 365 according to those users. So I think that's one of the most important things for data security and data compliancy that is missing in this drawing. So normally I would say that Microsoft should add a fifth one, it's identity providers. Okay, that's the topic which is coming now, and I really want to apologize in front, is the most boring stuff. Because actually what I'm going to talk about is the infrastructure side, so the data centers of Microsoft, because it is really important to know where your data is stored. Yeah. Actually, this presentation is started with the question of a potential customer who said, yeah, where is my data? Yeah, I'm a European customer. I don't want my data to be stored in the US, because in the US they have all those strange laws. They can act with the Patriot Act, get my information from data centers, or that's what people believe. Yeah, so it's very important to a European customer to know where their data is. So I went to Microsoft and I asked them a lot of information about those data centers. And one of the things that they never will tell you is how much data centers there are and where the exact location is. So if you get that information out of them, well, kudos for you. So the overview. In the infrastructure, we're going to talk about the data centers and their locations, the data flow. What flow will my data have between those data centers? Privacy statements. Our information is stored on data centers of Microsoft. What are they going to do with that data? Encryption, identity protection, password policies. So let's talk about the data centers. How does it work? Well, Microsoft provides their data centers with several layers of security. And the first layer is a physical security. So when you want to access those data centers, there is a physical access that is secured, and it's only for authorized personnel only. And they have state-of-the-art data centers. What do I mean by that? If you ever see the promo movie about the data centers, you will see that they fill their data centers with containers of servers, with state-of-the-art cooling, state-of-the-art electricity providing. So if you ever have a discussion with your customer who is saying, from my data center, I want to store everything in my data center, I always answer from which data center you think is the most proficient, the one from Microsoft or your own data center, which is stored most of the time in their basement. So that's most of the time a compelling argument to change to a cloud service. There is security in the hosted applications, so anti-spam, for example, in the Exchange products, encryption of your mails. So that's another one. Security development lifecycle. What Microsoft is doing when they design and develop their products, they will keep in mind what the potential threats are while they're developing a service. So not when the service is already deployed or in test mode. No, when the design is done, then they will look for potential threats. So in the development process, they will get the opportunity to provide solutions for their threats and not afterwards. A secured Office 365 service infrastructure. So all the servers are monitored via System Center, which is their own product. So it should be normal between quotes that they use their own products. Secure remote access via remote desktop service, and they do an intrusion detection. They also provide network level security measures, so the customer's access is always encrypted via SSL, and they provide a financial SLA of 99.9%, which is, if you do the calculation, not a lot of time that they can have unplanned downtime. That's really important, is the 99.9 is really for unplanned downtime. So when they're providing us customers with the time when they will go down, so then it's a planned downtime. That is not calculated in that SLA. So that's something that you should keep in mind. Identity and access management. So people within Microsoft, within their data centers, only get as much privileges as they need for their jobs. So that's of course something that they say that they do, but within a few slides we will see that the Office 365 data centers have several ISO certificates and other certificates to really show that they are doing what they are saying that they do. Yeah. That's an important one. Where is our data stored? And I'll take as an example EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. The reason why I only share EMEA at this time is because the documents for America, so North and South America, and Asia are not provided at this time. So there is a link on the security side, but when you click on it, you have an access denied. So only EMEA is provided with information, but it gives us a general overview how Microsoft is, how the concept of their data centers is working all over the world, because they are doing the same within North and South America and in Asia. So first of all, every product has a primary data center. So the primary data center is where the application software and the customer data for that application are hosted. So for example, you have a primary data center for Exchange Online and one for Lync Online, and you have also one for SharePoint Online. So yeah. A backup center is used for failover purposes. So for example, if the primary data center for Exchange goes offline, the backup data center will catch up and do all the things that the primary does, but it is only a backup. So the data center in Dublin is the primary for our front-end protection for Exchange. Yeah? So that's where that's stored. The Netherlands has SharePoint Online. Dublin plus the Netherlands is an interchangeable Exchange Online and Lync Online. Now, why does this is that interchangeable? Because some customers are with their Exchange Online in Dublin, and some customers are with their Exchange Online in the Netherlands. So, and that's the same also for Lync. So it's not one product that is provided on one data center. It's actually scaled out on both data centers. But it's actually also a primary and a backup data center for certain customers. So it depends on your customer ID where your data is stored. So now, why is it stored in the US? Because there is a lot of data, even for EMEA customers, that is stored in the US. Information about customers, your name, your address, your billing information is all stored in the US. The Microsoft Online portal is also stored in the US. The routing Lync Online communications, for example, the Federation and stuff, is also stored in the US. So our email addresses that are the Lync routing stuff, is also stored in the US. So there is a lot of information that is stored there. Our authentication, again, US. But what does Microsoft say? That they abide by the safe harbor framework for transfer of data between the European Union and the United States. So what does that actually say is that they don't give information freely and willingly to law enforcement and stuff like that. But it's actually important to notice the word freely and willingly. So, for example, when a court order is set in the United States to get certain information, but you see all the information that they can retrieve from US data centers. Is a split of services per data center document somewhere? Do you mean the split per service on which data centers? For example, Exchange Online is stored there. Well, actually, when we go back to this slide, like that, you see that for EMEA, that SharePoint Online is stored in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And the front the front-end protection for Exchange Online is stored in Dublin. It isn't a real division between for Exchange and Lync, because they are interchangeable on Dublin and the Netherlands. The information about the other regions is at this time not available. So I guess that there is some similarity to the other regions, but we know, for example, that Asia has a data center in Singapore. So, okay. Privacy. Well, Roel, that's a very good question. In the next two slides, we have a lot of information that people, what determines what Microsoft will give to the law enforcement and whatnot. So what do we have? Here we have a privacy statement by Microsoft about what kind of data do you have. It's usage data, account and address book data, customer data, excluding the core customer data and the core customer data. The customer data is actually your billing information, is your shipping information, what kind of subscriptions do you have. The usage data is how much do you use, and the core customer data is actually your SharePoint Online data, your Exchange Online data. So what are they using when? There is another slide after that, so it's a little bigger than this one, but they will use all that information for operating and troubleshooting the service. So when you have a problem with Exchange Online, they will use even your core customer data, to provide you with a solution to get the service less buggy. Let me say it, well, bug-free doesn't exist, but they will use all that information. For security, spam, and malware prevention, EDM, so end users data and account and address data, so all of them. Improving the purchased service analytics, again, everything except no customer data, core customer data. So they will use how much data did you transfer from Office 365 and to Office 365. What did you do on your Exchange Online and on your SharePoint Online, but they will not look into your core customer data. So they won't check which documents are on your SharePoint Online or which emails are in your mailbox, but they will do, for example, accounts or how much megabytes did you email this month, stuff like that. Personalization, user profile promotion, usage data, no. Account and address book data, yes. Customer data, no and no. Communications, tips, advice, survey promotion, only, again, your address book. So you can get communication, tips, advice, surveys, even kind of promotion via your address book and account information. That is important to know. And then this one, voluntary disclosure to law enforcement, no, 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 no. But what happens when they get all the information, or when a law enforcement gets the information? At this time, since your core customer data is not stored in the US, they cannot give your core customer data. If they want your core customer data, they need to have a court order from, in this case, Ireland, if it's Exchange Online, with that condition that your information should be stored on the Dublin data center, or from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, for the other information. So they will not give any information that they don't have. That's why it's so important to know which information is stored. They can get your usage data. They can get your customer data, because that is all stored in the US. But they cannot get your core customer data. Local, yeah. It would be even better if we could speak about European law in this case, but yeah, that's not going to happen at this time. So it's actually local law, yeah. Advertising, no, 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 no. So people who are using Office 365, I don't think you get any advertising from our systems or from the systems through Microsoft, and we want to keep it that way. So it's not like Gmail or stuff like that where you get really advertising on the mails that you get in your mailbox. Office 365 is not doing that. Okay, encryption. Very important. We want things to be secure, so we want our systems to use encryption. You're using an HTTPS communication with the portal.microsoftonline.com, so the communication between your administration portal and your local PC is done via SSL. HTTPS communication between clients and Exchange Online for all protocols. So when you're using Outlook, Thunderbird, doesn't matter what, if you're using POP3, IMAP, Exchange protocol, all communications are done via SSL. So no HTTP. Transportation and storage in Exchange Online is encrypted by pretty good protocol privacy. Don't know anymore, but it's also encrypted. Yeah. So even the storage of your Exchange Online is encrypted. Not only the communication, also the storage. Lync Online, the instant messaging, instance federation, again, is encrypted. SharePoint Online, HTTPS connection, with that remark that it's only available for enterprise. The P plans are not, in this time, HTTPS. Yeah, pretty good privacy. Thanks, Rule. So for the P plans, it is HTTP. So if your customer needs to choose between what subscription that he wants to have, the fact that the P plan doesn't have the HTTPS connection is perhaps a good reason why he should take an enterprise connection of subscription. Identity protection. Identity is stored in Microsoft Offline or online, sorry, offline, that's not the case. Identity federation can be done via SSO, but at that time, your identity protection needs to be done on your AD. We know that the communication between Microsoft Online and your AD is encrypted, yeah. But from the moment that your request enters your company, it's your identity protection that needs to be in place, not that of Microsoft. Identity protection and security will also be benefiting from the granular licenses, so you're not obliged to give all the users all the licenses that you have in Office 365. Some users only need a mailbox, so don't give them anything else. Just give them a mailbox. Yeah, and that's possible in Office 365. Just put a checkbox next to Exchange Online, which we will see in the demo later on. Just use the licenses that you need to use. And you have different administrator roles. If your finance guy needs to get all the invoices from Office 365, he doesn't need a user administration role, give him just a financial role. If you're working with a partner, give him the service administration role, not always. So that's how it works. Very short, the different identity architectures to secure your stuff. So first of all, everything is stored in your in the cloud. So all your accounts are 2 times available. First of all, in your AD, and the second is in the authentication platform. So in your identity provider in Office 365. The second one is with DirSync, so no single sign-on yet, but DirSync. So what's going to happen is we're going to create via a DirSync when we create a user in our ID, he will replicate that user in the directory store of Office 365. The next one is federated IDs and DirSync. So what happens is we provide an Active Directory Federation Service 2.0. Actually, we'll provide 2. And we put a trust link between the Federation Gateway and that ADFS server. And when we want to access our Office 365, our ADFS will take over to secure our identity. So, little comparison, what do we have? The ID stored in Microsoft Online is appropriate for smaller organizations, perhaps without an AD on-premise. The second one is actually, I think the second one is my least favorite. I would go for a single sign-on or for nothing, so complete in the cloud. But the second one is, it's nothing actually. You're going to sync it, but you have all the problems from the first one, and none of the benefits of the third one. So if you would ask my advice, don't do number 2. Just choose between number 1 and number 3. So one of the advantages of the third one is that you have a single sign-on. Users with groups are mastered on-premise. Password policy is controlled. You can have hybrid scenarios. One of the cons is, of course, that you need a high availability service. So you need to invest in some virtualization. So why do you need to do that? Because if your connection or your ADFS is down, for example, you will not be able to connect to your mail or to your Office 365. So that's actually important. If you choose one of those 3, you really need to know what the consequences are. So absolutely, Active Directory on Azure is possible. At this time, Azure has already the Server 2012 with the built-in AD and ADFS. And as we speak, not actually as we speak, but I deployed yesterday already an AD, and it's on the roadmap to provide ADFS also via Azure. So no more cons in that case that Microsoft cannot lose their internet connection, but normally the cons should be disappeared. So Active Directory on Azure is indeed a very good alternative. Infrastructure as a service actually should work, because that's one of the new things that Azure is providing at this time. You can actually deploy virtual machines, and they go far with that. You can even provide deploy WordPress sites. So I would suggest that you do a 90-day trial on Azure and give it a try. It's already provided with the Server 2012, and it's actually working very good. It's fast, so DirSync works only on Win Server Standard and Enterprise. That's true, but it's only data center. That's something I need to check. I don't know it by heart because I haven't. Even on the 2008 R2 server, I will have to check it out. I will. When it's working, you can read it on my blog. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter name was on the first slide. I will show it afterwards again. When you see something pass from Hooray of Eureka, I did it, then you know it works. So, okay, password policies, very important, because people hate changing their passwords. They never know what restrictions they need to keep in mind. So password restrictions is really simple. 8 characters minimum, 16 characters maximum. Values that are allowed is A to Z big, A to Z lowercase, 0 to 9, all those special characters, but no Unicode. And also important, you can't contain the username alias, so the part before the @ symbol is not allowed in your password. Password expiry duration, 90 days, not configurable. Password expiry can be enabled and can be disabled via PowerShell at the user level. So you can define how many days it's going to be, but you can enable or disable it. Password strengths. Strong passwords require 3 out of 4 of the following: lowercase characters, uppercase characters, numbers, and symbols. Yeah, so that's really important. Last password cannot be used again, so it has a history of 1 password. Account lookouts. Also important, after 10 unsuccessful login attempts, wrong password, the user will need to solve a captcha dialog as part of the logon. So if you're really doing 10 times unsuccessful logon, you have already been locked out, so they just need to do a captcha dialog as part of the logon. That's all information provided. Self-reset for the admins. There is a self-reset, a kind of self-reset, based on your mobile phone number. So you can provide your mobile phone number as an admin in the Office 365, and via that number you can get a reset. Yeah. And for users, not at this time. Perhaps in the next version. Yeah. It's concerning the roadmap, there is a lot of interesting stuff coming. So check out roadmaps for Office 365 for all segments about the market. There is something new coming up. Check out November when the new SharePoint and stuff will be released. So since Microsoft is always saying first cloud, then on-premise, then I suspect that the new SharePoint will be provided first to our cloud users and then afterwards to our on-premise users. So normally we should get the new SharePoint first. So really looking forward to that. Again, this is information all provided by Microsoft. And since we know about other vendors providing cloud services, yeah, that's not really independent. You can always say what you want. Your word is not always the truth, or perhaps in your eyes, but is this independently verified? Yes, it is. In fact, the Microsoft of the Office 365 services from Microsoft are certified for ISO 27001. They comply at the EU Safe Harbor. They have the HIPAA Business Associate Agreement, Data Processing Agreement, and the last one only announced, I think, a month or 2 months ago, FISMA. I'm not going to explain all the certifications in detail in this presentation. If you want, this presentation will be on CloudShare or on SlideShare. Sorry, CloudShare is something else. On SlideShare, do some reading about the certifications, but you will see that they are very strict. Not all IT companies get them. You need to provide with a lot of safeguards in your organization to actually get those certifications. So it's not just a piece of paper, yeah? So you can tell your customers or the people that you work for, look, Microsoft has that and that and that certification. They are legit. They're really saying of doing what they're saying, so you can trust them. Okay, that's the basic part for the infrastructure part. So now we're going to very quickly go through all the possibilities by compliancy and about security for the different products. Let's start with Exchange Online. So what do we have? We have an archiving mailbox. Yeah. The times of PSTs are over, ladies and gentlemen. So we have an online archive. Yes, we do. We have for the e-subscriptions 100 gigabytes. And if that isn't enough, just put on a ticket to the Microsoft support desk and they'll increase it. For P subscription, a little bit less, you get 25. So archiving, done. Moderation, security, and distribution groups. So you can build also in Exchange Online distribution groups which are moderated by a moderator. So not directly to all the users of that security group, but there is a filter in between, a person who has to allow the emails to be sent to those people. Item level recovery. One of my favorites. When you delete an email, even in your deleted items, you can recover it. You just need to know it. You need to know where it is. Item level at this time is 14 days, but it can be increased. Yeah. Defining transport rules. What rule has your email has to comply to what rules? So if an email is sent, yeah, what rules, or your email at what rules do they need to comply before sending or receiving? Retention policies, a very interesting feature. You can tag your mails with retentions tags. So, for example, an email needs to be moved after a year to your online archive. So you can define your own retention policies. How long, how much time does an email have to be retained in your mailbox? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's retention policies. So in the demo, we will see also that retention policies can be defined on folders. Yeah. So, for example, you can say on everybody's inbox, yeah, that policy is automatically defined. Yeah. Deleted mailbox recovery. So when a mailbox is completely deleted, for what reason also whatsoever, you can recover it within 30 days. So you need PowerShell for it, but it's doable. So one simple commandlet will provide the deleted mailbox to be recovered. Journaling, again, our protection. You can do auditing. You have retention holds. Again, it's only active via PowerShell, and it actually disables the retention policies. So, for example, if somebody is on a sick leave for a year, yeah, you don't want retention policies to be active on that mailbox, so you can disable that retention policies via retention hold. Litigation holds, again, only for PowerShell, and the litigation holds will actually log everything that has been done on a mailbox, deleting, changing, and actually deleting is not deleting. You have a hidden folder, yeah, where all the deleted items are stored in. Yes, that's true. That's a mistake. Yeah, enabled. True. That's true. So actually, why is it a litigation hold? Well, if somebody is under investigation, you don't want that person to be able to delete mails or change mails. Yeah, but the fun between brackets is they don't know about it. So people don't know if their mailbox is on litigation hold. Mobile devices, you can actually configure the mobile devices which are connecting to your mailboxes. So, for example, you can say mail only, let us say, Nokia Lumia 800s are allowed on my mailbox. And if they are connecting, they need to have a password on their device. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, I see I'm really getting out of time, but I will do some demos. Share new contents. Okay. I hope that everybody sees my screen. So what have I done? I've just logged on to my Office 365 site, which is here. And at this time, I'm going to my Manage Exchange, which provides me my configuration manual on my organization. So, yeah, you see I have a demo account. If I double click on it, I can set all those properties. Yeah, and I said archiving. Well, archiving is here in the features. Just click on archive enable. Yeah, like rule instant message after. You can put litigation holds here, so that's where it can be done. If you're having archiving, you will get an archiving mailbox in your Outlook automatically. So if I have a mail like that, I can just put it in here, and I have my online archive with just one mailbox in it. Yeah. So at this time, I can just take all my mails and put it in my archive. But I also said that you can assign some retention policies. What is very important with retention policies? Yeah, here, the Manage Folder Assistant. Yeah, you need to activate a PowerShell to enable the retention policies on your mailbox. If you don't do it, it can take up to 7 days. That's right, 7 days before the retention policies can be set on that mailbox. So we'll give a small PowerShell script. So it just starts - managed folder assistant identity and the name of your mailbox. Okay, and if you have a mail, let's say this one again, I can assign policies. Yeah, 1 month delete. So what will happen now? After the 27th of July, this mail will be automatically deleted. Yeah. Okay. I can delete this mail. It's gone. Yeah. It's in my deleted items, and I will clear it in my deleted items too. I want to permanently delete it. Yeah. Okay. In my folder, I have recover deleted items. When I click that, what do I see? That mail that I've just deleted. And you see, sent to, deleted on. Yeah, it's almost 10:30 in Belgium. So, and I can say recover selected item. So it will be removed, and after some while, I will get it again like this in my removed items, and I can put it back in my inbox. So at this time, I actually deleted completely my mail, but I can recover it. So my data is, at least for 14 days, very secured. Okay. One thing I really like is the active sync device policy. I told about the mobile devices, what you can define. Yeah. I can define what happens if you delete from the recovery place as well. Then it's gone. So, but I will check. So I deleted items. I deleted, yes, recover item. So normally then it will be gone. Yeah, when you delete it from your deleted items, it's gone. So active sync device policy. At this time, I can really set my device security, and I can say, okay, require a password. Yeah, require, and all those settings, yeah, encryption and encryption on storage cards, stuff like that. So when people try to access your mailbox without these settings, or when these settings are activated and they don't comply to these settings, they will not get any mail from that. Yeah, so that's really important, since because it defeats the purpose. User can. Well, if you really want to make sure that they don't delete it, you can put it on a litigation hold, but that doesn't fit the purpose of litigation, of course. When they actually delete it from their deleted items, it's actually very much deleted. I mean, they really want to delete it. So the user at that time is really saying, I want that mail gone. If you as an organization don't want that mail gone, you have to put litigation hold on your mailboxes. That's the only way. Okay. Mail control. This is a very important one. For example, I love to use disclaimers. Yeah, every mail that enters my mailbox has a disclaimer on it. When I send it back, that same disclaimer is added to that mail. How do we do that? Well, it's very easy. You just create a new rule. This is actually a transport rule. Yeah, and like you create actually a routing rule in your Outlook, you can also do one like this. For example, if the sender is, and let us say my demo account, yeah, do the following. Forward the message for approval. So if my demo account wants to send a mail, that mail needs to be approved by my demo approver. Yeah. And I can add some exceptions. At this time, I don't want that. I just say save. Okay, done. So when I'm doing a mail right now to my Hotmail account, for example, within some seconds, I should get, as demo approver, get a mail to approve that mail to be sent. So at this time, I just can say those people cannot send a mail to an external company without my approval. Yeah. How can you activate the mail archive for a P subscription? You have PowerShell for that normally. So you can do everything via PowerShell if you want. It's also on my blog, Thomas, so if you just go to my blog and there's a complete article about archiving. Okay. So, it's not coming in. Perhaps the rule was not set yet. I'll let this one pass. So, retention policies. You can define your own retention tags. Journaling. For example, if you want a copy for every mail that enters or leaves your organization, yeah. For example, from, again, my demo account, for all external, for example, I can send it to, and that's the catch, it needs to be an external email address. So it can't be an address from your own organization. So you need to provide with a Hotmail, a Gmail if you want that, or a Hotmail, an MSN, doesn't matter what other, but it has to be external. So another one that is very interesting are delivery reports. With this tool, you can really see which mail has entered or left my organization with the subject. So you can, in an instant, see any mail that has entered or left your organization. Okay. Distributions group had that. Okay. I would say test it around. If you have a person which has an archiving mailbox, you will see that it has a different icon. So that is really important. So one actually thing, if you disable here the archive, the mailbox is deleted. Yeah. So don't play around with that. If people are using it, don't disable it. You will kill their archive, so don't do that. Okay. I see I have only 5 minutes or so left. I will do the complete presentation, so you have all the information that you really need to. I'm sorry that I can't do all the demos, but you will have all the functionalities that are provided within Office 365, and perhaps I can do the demos another time. Okay. Lync Online. What can be set there? Privacy settings. Yeah. External communications. And user-defined settings. So privacy settings, for example, do you want in your federation that people can see if you're available or not? Yeah, you can keep it internally that other people just don't see that. External communications. Do you want federation or not? Will you allow federation with every domain or just with the ones that you selected? Are you going to do federation with instant messaging? Stuff like that. And one of my favorites is really the user-defined settings. Per user, you can define if he can send files via instant messaging, if he can do audio video calls, if he can record calls and conferences, if he can do federation with other organizations, if he can do federation with instant messaging providers, dial-in conferences. Some people don't have that privileges. Yeah? Give the people what they need, and your security of your data is a lot tighter. So give them only what they need. If we have time, we do a demo later on. One of my favorites, I am a SharePoint boy. I'll always be a SharePoint boy, but that's one of my favorites. And to my feeling, the less known tool in Office 365. And to compliancy reasons, that is an important tool. Yeah? Information management policies, defining of records is that important. I will do a demo just about those records, what it's doing. So if you want to keep up, but this is really important. Use of terms, required field, content types, check them out. Drop-off library, you drop your document in one library and a set of rules will define to which direction what document is going. Yeah? Auditing, you can log everything in your SharePoint when something is is modified, when something is deleted, when metadata has been changed. That's important. Blocked file types, it's very important to know that the blocked file types are defined by Office 365. Yeah? You cannot change them. It's one of those things that just isn't available in Office 365. Security, user groups, inheritance of security, very important. Versioning, very important for compliancy reasons. Recycle bin, again, you have only a recycle bin on the site collections to set. The one that is available on the on-premise version but not on the SharePoint Online cannot be changed. Backups is 14 days. Yeah. Governance defines your security and compliancy. It's very hard to maintain and you have to make it required. And that's one of the hard things in SharePoint Online is SharePoint Online is missing those very hard needed functionalities, yeah, to keep your governance where it needs to be. Yeah. You can't do PowerShell in SharePoint Online. It just isn't available. Yeah. So you need something else for that. So I really hope that in the next version, that functionalities that are available on-premise will be available on SharePoint Online. Okay. So, yeah, we'll kill those documents. Delete. So I have a drop-off library. I will put my document in it, like that. And I define the rule that when a document is entered my drop-off library, it will be automatically be moved to its final destination, which is here. And I can do a lot of rules on it. Yeah, I have compliancy documents. Yeah, if I do a document here, like that. Okay, I already had it. It is declared as a record. And what's so neat about declaring a record? Well, you can't delete it. Yeah, I'm a site admin. I have every right on this SharePoint, but I can't delete it. I just can view the properties. Yeah, and I see everything. Yeah, and I see when it's been declared as a record, but I cannot change it. I can see the versions, no problem. Okay, yeah. So I can see the compliancy details, yeah. And you see all this information about your compliancy. So defining here as a record gives me a lot of information, yeah, and I can't delete it. So, oh, sorry. Need to share my other screen. Sorry. Okay. That was a bit silly, talking like that. Yay. So you see, now I have my compliance documents. Yeah. I will create a little document very quickly. Text file. And when I upload it, like that. Oh, it's empty there. and I check it in, you will see that it automatically becomes a record. I can't delete it. It is defined via my information management policy, so it is compliant to the rules that I have in my organization. So I just need to define, for example, a folder or a content type with some kind of information policy, and by defining it as a record, it is automatically compliant to that rules. Yeah? I can't delete it. It will stay, for example, 7 years on my SharePoint, and after that it will be automatically moved to an archive. Stuff like that is perfect for SharePoint and SharePoint Online. But again, there are some functionalities that don't work, yeah, and that's one of the pain points at this time of a SharePoint Online in comparison with, for example, a SharePoint on-prem. So when you really need stuff that goes further than the backup tools and the compliance tools that you have within SharePoint Online, I would really urge you to try one of these products. I don't sell any products, so I put everything that I think that are really good products, yeah, products that I use also. From all those products, you can get the information on their site, download the trial, and contact those people, say that you've seen my presentation, they will help you, but try this out. Yeah. Sources of information. If you need some kind of information, go to the Office 365 Trust Center. Yeah. It's a complete website with all the information that I just told you. Subscribe yourself to the service descriptions of Office 365. At this time, every month there is a service update with new information. Yeah, so take a subscription on the RSS feed. So when there is a new update available, you get notified. Read the documents about Office 365, password policies, the security white paper, the data boundaries. I love that last one. It actually tells you where all the data is and how the data flow is actually going. So again, the data boundaries documents for America and Asia aren't at this time available. So, but I hope it will be soon, and then we get all the information. So I don't know if you have any questions or that we have time left to do some questions. So Jos, I'm watching you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Community sites, and of course my Twitter, and a lot of people which are already here tweeting about Office 365. Please do so.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great presentation.